This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HPT. I'm James Larson, joined by professional poker player, Mr. Robert Williamson III. This week, we broadcast from Black Hawk, Colorado, here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. And once again, for the 9th time in a row out here in Black Hawk, we hit $1 million in the prize pool.
We built a massive prize pool, James. 721 entries, and first place tonight's going to be worth $227,864.
So a whole lot of cash, my friend, and some familiar names here at this nationally televised final table, like Matt Bond making his second final in 3 weeks, Rex Clinkscales, the 32-year-old from Irvine, California, but the real wild card tonight, the one, the only, Mr. Danny Gonzalez, sitting down again here in Black Hawk.
When you say wild card, you mean wild man. His playing style is very unique. Plays a lot of hands. It's going to be exciting action tonight.
This is Danny's second consecutive final table here in Black Hawk, his third in a row on the HPT. We wish him the best of luck. So, Robbie, with no further ado, let's go ahead and meet the rest of the players, and most importantly, take a look at that huge prize pool.
James, we've got, for the 9th consecutive time, over $1 million in the prize pool here at Golden Gates. 721 entries. First place, $227,864.
Looking at our chip leaders up top, it's Rich, Vic, and Garrett. Your short stack is Brandon Miller. But with the structure here on the HPT, it's anybody's game. The blinds are 40,000, 80,000 with a 10K ante. Let's play some poker as we broadcast from the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. It's great to be back here in Black Hawk, Colorado. We've been coming here for years. And another $1 million in the prize pool. And look at this. Matt Shepsky in the one seat picks up Pocket Kings.
Great way to start his night.
Yeah, you want to get off to a great start, and Pocket Kings, that's a good way to do it.
Absolutely is.
So he's looking for chips here, raising chips. He's going to raise it up to 175,000. Action over to Brandon now. He's going to fold. Now over to Rex. He's 32 years old, lives in Irvine, California.
Ace-10 of hearts. This is a very playable hand in his position. Let's see how he proceeds. Wow, that's a pretty tight fold.
Wonder if somebody told him that Shep had Pocket Kings or something. Action now over to Rich on the button. He's going to fold. Danny Gonzalez is in the small blind. He's going to fold.
And look at this. Matt's got 2 queens.
2 queens in the big blind. This could be the buzzsaw, my friend. And look at this. He's going to raise to 1.3 million. And that's going to put Shep all in. So we're going to flip over the cards. And Matt's going to see the bad news. He jammed his queens right into Pocket Kings on the first hand of the night.
And my fellow Texan, just sometimes when you wake up with a big pair, you run into the buzzsaw.
Man, Kings versus Queens. I got a feeling we're going to see fireworks all night long here on the HPT. We got great players, great action, and a whole lot of cash up top. We go to the flop. A couple of 4s and a 6. So far, so good for Shep.
And no help for Matt. He needs a queen.
A big pot here, the first hand of the night. Unbelievable action. Turn card now is the 9 of spades. So Matt down to the last street. He can only catch a queen to win the hand. Otherwise, it's going to be a big pot going towards Shep. And the river card is the 10 of spades. Shep's going to win the first hand of the night. A big double up for him. It's just a cooler for Matt Bond, the 28-year-old making his second final table in 3 weeks. Just ran into a little bit of bad luck. Action continues here from the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. I want to thank all of our players, Robert, for coming out and supporting this event like they always do. 721 entries. Just so much cash in this prize pool. In first place money, $227,864. It's amazing what goes on here in the small little town of Black Hawk, Colorado. All right, Nick's now going to raise it up. It's going to go up to 165,000. Now we move over to Vic. Vic looks down at ace queen.
Suspect he's going to get involved in this pot, James.
Vic is 60 years old from Denver, Colorado. He's got just $380 invested in this event. What a return on his investment. He's got a 68th place and a 30th place, and now he's making his first final table as he re-raises now to $325,000 with his ace-queen. Action over now to Garrett on the button. He folds, as does Shep in the 1 seat. And now action over to Brandon. Looks down at Queen-Jack, and he's going to go all in for the remaining chips that he has.
I think Brandon could have waited for a little bit better spot than this. I don't know if I like to call raise, re-raise with Queen-Jack off.
And now action back over to Nick. He's going to make the call. So now we have a side pot. So 3 players go into the flop. Brandon is all in for his tournament life. He's hoping to get lucky here on this flop. Brandon Miller's from Palm Bay, Florida. He's just 26 years old. $15,000 in career earnings. Right now, Robert, the minimum cash is almost $20,000. Flop now, it's 2 4s and a jack. A great flop there for Brandon with 2 pair now. Jackson 4s.
Now, James, we have a side pot here, so there is $150,000 extra on the side just between Nick and Vic.
And Nick is going to check, and now Vic is reaching for chips. Nick and Vic. I'm a poet. I didn't know it. Vic with a continuation bet here now. He's going to put his chips in the middle, $450,000. And Nick's going to get out of the way, so we're going to go ahead and flip over the cards. Vic's going to win the side pot. Brandon in the lead here with his 2 pair. In a commanding lead, yes, Jackson 4s. Now we go to the turn card. The turn card is the 6 of hearts, so still good news for Brandon as he's trying to double up here early at this nationally televised final table.
Only an ace will eliminate him.
No ace on the river, it's the 8 of clubs, so a huge hand for Brandon. 2 pair, Jackson 4s. He's going to double up and keep his tournament hopes alive. Welcome back to the HPT. It's James Larson alongside Robert Williamson III. And Robbie, I love being back here in Blackhawk, Colorado at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. This place is great.
It's fantastic, and the action has been great all week long, James.
Over 700 entries. We're down to our final 9. Let's get back to the action.
Well, James, not much has changed on the top of our leaderboard. Rich and Vic still on the top, but Brandon Miller still in the basement, but he did double up, so he's got a good start here tonight.
The Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor, we call it the home of the $1 million prize pool, as this is our 9th $1 million prize pool in a row. It's unbelievable what goes on here in Blackhawk. You know, the population is only 121 people right here in Blackhawk, Colorado.
They get 20,000 visitors a day.
It's amazing. All right, action over to Danny Gonzalez, who's been red hot lately here on the HPT, especially in the state of Colorado. This is Danny's 2nd final table in a row here at Gates, his 3rd HPT final table overall. He's trying to win his first title. He's going to raise it up to $185,000 with his ace-king. And now Nick's going to re-raise to $405,000.
I kind of played ace-king a little fatalistic here. If I'm Danny, even though he is sitting pretty deep, I want to see all 5 cards. I'm going to come right back over the top here.
Fold it around now to Shep in the 1 seat. He looks down at pocket queens. So this guy goes from pocket kings now to pocket queens.
Well, now that might change my mind a little bit on the ace-king. I might take that back.
Matt Shepsky just getting hit right in the face with the deck. He's going to raise all in now.
I went from, I would have pushed all my chips in the middle if I were Danny too. I might just fold ace-king in this spot. Just because I've gotten raised and re-raised, it just doesn't feel like ace-king's going to be good anymore.
Rex is going to fold. Action over to Danny Gonzalez. I love watching this guy at the table. You never know what you're going to get with Danny Gonzalez. He's quite the poker player, and he's going to lay it down.
I don't blame him. I think that is
Not
a
at all.
very good fold.
Now action over to Nick, and Nick's going to lay it down as well. So once again, Shepsky's going to win the pot, and this guy's cruising right along.
I'll tell you what, he's having a great start to his night.
Matt Shepsky, 32 years old, from Chicago, Illinois, over $500,000 in lifetime earnings. He did tell me he had 3 buy-ins for this event, but he's going to get his money back. His minimum cash right now is almost $20,000. He told me his plans for the rest of the cash, he's going to buy some diapers. brand new baby at home. So
good for him.
I'm sure him and his wife are very busy. All right, Matt's going to raise to $170,000 now with his ace-queen. And look at this. We are seeing a lot of action tonight, a lot of action cards. That's the 9 seat of Garrett. He's going to re-raise now to $400,000 with pocket jacks.
Seems like somebody's waking up with a big hand every single hand.
And now over to Shep. I figured he'd have another big pocket pair, but this time just 10-9. He's going to fold. Brandon's going to fold the blackjack hand, 7-4. Over to Rex now in the 3 seat. Rex is going to fold. Action over to Rich now, and Rich has got a hand with ace-queen.
Once again, ace-queen's not as big of a hand right here, just because with a raise and a re-raise, ace-queen sometimes spells trouble for me.
Rich told me he loves combat sports, boxing and grappling and MMA. It's not a guy I want to tangle with. Rich is going to fold, so action back now to Matt. Matt Bond, we just saw him at a final table a few weeks ago. Robert, this guy's running red hot.
Sure did, my fellow Dallas, Texas native.
Well, this time he's all in. And now action is back to Garrett. Almost 1 million chips for him to make this call, and I got a feeling he's going to put those in the middle, Robbie.
I think I would too if I were him.
So he makes the call. We flip over the cards. Garrett's going to see the good news. His pocket jack's in the lead right now.
And it's Matt's tournament life on the line here.
Matt Bond's second final table in 3 weeks. He's 28 years old. He's from Dallas, Texas. Wanted to say hello to his mom. That's his biggest supporter.
James, I don't think even his mom can help him out of this trap. 1 ace and 1 queen have already been folded.
The flop is 10 trade deuce. They're all clubs. Bad news for Matt.
Either player has a club in their hand, so that won't come into effect. But it could come club, and maybe Matt could get a chop out of this.
Turn card, no club. It's the 6 of hearts. So Matt down to just an ace or a queen, or he's going to be eliminated in 9th place. The 8 of diamonds comes on the river. That's going to do it for Matt Bond. He's going to be eliminated going out in 9th place, but a nice little payday, almost $20,000. And this guy's on a heater, his second final table in 3 weeks.
Tell you what, it's hard to make one final table, James, much less 2.
Matt wanted to make sure we gave a shout out to his biggest supporter, his mother, who's watching at home. Your son did a great job. You have a lot to be proud about.
Congratulations to Matt Bond, finishing in 9th place. His one buy-in earned him just over $19,000. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back to one of my favorite cities in the USA. It's Black Hawk, Colorado, here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. I'm James Larson, alongside the pride of Dallas, Texas, Mr. Robert Williamson III.
James, Rich, and Vic are still up top on our leaderboard. We've lost Matt now, and Brandon still our short stack, so he's going to have to make a move soon.
Big payday up top. $227,864. Let me say that one more time. Big payday on top, $227,864.
That's a lot of cash.
Wow, you know, the next day you wake up after a hit like that and you go to the bank and deposit your check. It's got to be the best feeling in the world.
Can't think of, well, maybe doing it 2 days in a row would be better, but
Nothing
that's about
sweeter
it.
than a repeater, my brother. Rex is going to raise it up to $180,000. Rex wants to personally thank Alan Kessler. It was Alan who brought him out here, and if you look close in the front row, you can see Alan sweating the rail, watching his friend, and, you know, we all know Alan. We love Alan. He can be kind of a knucklehead at times, but great to see Alan Kessler here on the HPT. He didn't make this final table, but just a few years ago, he was our player of the year. Action over to Brandon now in the 2 seat. He's going to make the call here with pocket jacks, so decides not to 3-bet here. Kind of like that. And the flop is 10-7 tray.
Well, I do like that, James, when the flop comes 10 high. Now 2 jacks look really, really inviting.
And look at this. Rex is all in, and Brandon played it perfectly.
I think Brandon's in line to get his next double up, James.
This is just a misstep here by Rex. He had no clue. Look at him. Look how surprised he is. The way Brandon played this, Rex had no idea. He thought his baby pair was good. And now he's drawing real thin. Turn card now is the king of hearts, so he's got 2 outs. One of the remaining 4s, or he's going to lose a big pot here to Brandon.
And Brandon's going to get the double up.
We go to the river card, and it's the 10 of spades. So a big hand there, a pot of almost 1.7 million chips for Brandon Miller. 26 years old. I talked about this before. Only $15,000 in career earnings. $15,000.
Well, that's
right?
going to go up today because he's guaranteed to get $24,000 and change.
Yeah, and one from that will be $29,570. So this guy's could double, triple, or quadruple his lifetime earnings right here at this nationally televised final table. Blinds are $50,000, $100,000 with a $10K ante. Action is on Vic in the 8th seat. Have you ever played with Vic before, Robert?
I haven't. I've seen him playing before, but I have not played with him.
Vic with just $380 invested in this event, and another great return on his investment. He's going to raise it to $240,000 with his ace-4. Now action over to Brandon.
Well, Brandon just got those chips. I don't know if he'll put them in there with the 5-6 of spades, and he decides not to. He folds.
And now action over to Rex on the button. Looks down at Jack-4. And that last pot really put a dent in Rex's stack. Action now over to Rich. Loves the MMA, loves boxing. He's got a company that's a service provider for people with disabilities. Rich's plans for the cash. He told me he wants to buy an MMA ring for some of his buddies. What do these guys do? Just sit around and fight all day? Rich does make the call with his 8-6. Heads up to the flop, and it comes out 4, trade, deuce, couple of clubs.
This flops is all over both of these hands. Vic flopping top pair and a gut shot straight draw. Rich flopping a higher straight draw and a flush draw.
Yeah, a little something for everybody here. And Rich is going to check over to Vic. Right now, Vic does have the best of it. But you look at the percentages, Rich is actually a favorite, even though Vic has the best of it.
He's got 2 overcards, a straight draw, and a flush draw.
Vic's going to go ahead and bet $350,000. Action over to Rich now.
Why so much?
Usually when I ask that question, James, it means I really want to play this hand. Why did you bet so much?
Rich is from Cheyenne, Wyoming. He's got over $80,000 in lifetime earnings. And I think he's feeling pretty good about this hand. I think this is just kind of a play. I think he's doing a little reverse psychology, if you will, Robbie. And the turn card now is the 6 of diamonds. That's an interesting card.
Well, not a bad card for Rich's hand, but it puts 4 to a straight on the board. I think this might slow him down a bit.
And it goes check, check. And now the 9 of spades now comes on the river. Rich is first to act. We'll see if he decides to make a bet. A pot of about $1.3 million in there now.
Well, this is a real thin value bet with 4 to a straight on the board. I don't know if I would make this because the only problem is if you make it and get raised, you have to fold.
And he's going to bet $480,000. Action over to Vic.
This is one of those real iffy calls here. I don't know if I'm Vic if I call or not. This is going to be one of those gut feeling kind of deals. Got to go with your gut, Vic.
And Vic is going to make the call. He does go with his gut, but unfortunately for him, it's the wrong decision to make, and he's going to fold his hand. Rich is the winner, taking down a pot of over 2.3 million chips. Rich Dixon, the MMA grappler, boxer, fighter. Don't mess with this guy. I'm telling you that right now, Robert. Don't mess with the guy. Blinds are $50,000, $100,000 with a $10K ante. I'm James Larson, alongside Robert Williamson III. Want to remind you to check out our webpage at hptpoker.com. Find an event that will work for you, and who knows, maybe you'll be playing for the life-changing cash. Once again, Rex looks down at pocket 4s. They weren't good the first time.
I was going to say, that hand got him in trouble earlier. He says, nope, I'm not going to go for that twice.
Those baby pairs, they're just tough to play. And, you know, going back to that hand, Brandon just set the trap and played it perfectly. Played him like a fiddle.
He sure did.
Rich is going to raise to $210,000 with his ace-9. And now Vic's going to make the call with ace-queen. Action over to Shep. Looks down at Trey Deuce. Things cooling off for him a little bit. So Shep's going to fold from the 1 seat.
I'll tell you what, these two keep getting tangled up. The 2 chip leaders. You don't usually see the chip leaders going after each other.
Rich and Vic fighting it out. Jack-5 Trey. Not really anything for anybody there. Rich is going to check over to Vic. Now, we got to remind Vic that Rich is an MMA fighter, so don't tangle with him too much. Deuce of spades now on the turn. So now both players have a wheel draw, a gutter ball wheel draw at that, but we know 2 4s were already folded by Rex.
Well, a lot of times right here, the aggressor wins this kind of a pot.
The bet's $285,000 by Rich.
Wow, and Vic's making a tough call. That's pretty close to a hero call.
River card here, the 10 of hearts. We'll see if Rich slows down. And he can't slow down. He's got to keep this facade going, and he's reaching for chips. Why did Vic make that call?
You know, because he thinks ace-queen high is good, but if Rich does go through with this bet here, and he does, that's a really, really tough call for Vic. I don't think I make this call. I think I have to lay it down, even though we can see Vic has the best hand. This would be a tremendous hero call from Vic.
It'd be unbelievable. But he's probably thinking the last hand I had fours, that wasn't good. All I have right now is ace high. And he's going to fold. He's tired of leaking off chips. Even though he had the best of it, he just couldn't make the call.
I think it was on Vic's mind about that last hand where he dumped some chips off to Rich, didn't want to do it again, and couldn't make that hero call.
Time to step aside for a quick commercial break, but when we come back, more exciting final table action. You're watching the HPT. Welcome back to beautiful Black Hawk, Colorado. It's James Larson and Robert Williamson III broadcasting from the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. Robbie, how about those chip counts?
I'll tell you what, Rich has increased his chip lead. Still on top, but he's really grown his lead. Garrett and Vic in second and third now. They've switched places.
Black Hawk is Colorado's largest gambling town. 18 casinos up here in the mountain. There's action 24/7.
Gotta love it.
So many friends here. We've been coming here for so many years. I still remember the first event I did here, and they've been great. And we built this thing, from the ground up, and it's just been an awesome, awesome event. Thank you to everybody here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. Action now, folded around to the one seat of Shepsky. He looks down at 8-7. Now over to the two seat of Brandon. Looks down at not 2-4s, but king 4 this time. He's going to fold to Rex. We go ace-jack.
I think we'll see him get involved in this pot.
Wants to say hello to his girlfriend. She travels with him and supports him as he grinds across the country. He's got Alan Kessler in the crowd.
Yep, Ting Ho is her name, and she's quite a fine player too, James.
This guy Rex won the Colorado State Poker Championship a few years ago, and he got 11th place on the HPT back in 2007. We see him a lot at tournaments. He's quite the grinder. Action now over to Rich Dixon. He looks down at the Sammy Hagar, pocket 5s. Seen a lot of low pairs. Seen 4s of 5s.
Yeah, anything under a pair of 6s, James, I'm real cautious to play because you never know. You might flop a set and have the worst set. And there's hardly any good flops for those hands.
And I've noticed we've seen better play here on the HPT, and we see a lot of players just mucking these smaller pairs, especially after a raise or a 3-bet. And that's the right thing to do. Speaking of 3-bets, Nick is all in now with his ace-deuce.
Yeah, I don't think if I'm Nick in that spot, I'm going to commit the rest of my chips. I don't like that.
So Rich gets out of the way, but Rex is going to make the call. It's ace-deuce going up against ace-jack, and Rex has got Nick dominated. We go to the flop. It's 10-6-4. It's a rainbow.
Well, not a good flop for Nick, but he does have some runner outs.
If his hand doesn't improve, he's going to be eliminated going out in 8th place. We go now to the turn card. And look at that, it's the 5 of clubs. And look at Rich, he puts his hands in the air. Remember what he had? He had pocket 5s.
Yep, and that also gives Nick now a 3 or a 2 to win this pot.
All right, we go to the river card, a pot of 2.6 million chips.
2 one time.
And that river card is the 9 of spades, so that is going to do it for Nick. A nice little payday, though, for him here on the HPT. He's going to go home with $24,695. Not too shabby, my friend. Blinds are 50,000, 100,000 with a 10K ante. It's James and Robert broadcasting from the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor right here in Black Hawk, Colorado. Look at this. Once again, action cards for the 2-seat of Brandon.
He saw jacks earlier and got a clear double up. Let's see if he does it again.
I've seen him with jacks. I've seen him with 4s. I've seen him with jacks. He's going to raise to $225,000 over to Rex. Now looks down at King Trey. He's going to get out of the way. To the MMA fighter now. And Rich, he's going to fold. Folded around now to the 1-seat of Shep. And look at Shep, picked up pocket 10s.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Shep to get away from that. especially if he's already in the big blind for part of the bet.
So jacks versus tens. It's Brandon and Shep. We go to the flop. And the flop, an ace and 2 sevens.
Well, the good news for Shep is, with this overcard out there, hopefully it won't cost him quite as much as sometimes it would.
Shep has a 34th and an 8th here on the HPT.
Wow, Shep decides to lead at this.
165,000. Brandon thinking, how can I get all of those chips over to my stack?
That's a really tough spot for Brandon here, with Shep leading at this pot.
This is Brandon's biggest score. He told me he did have 4 buy-ins, but Robert, he's going to take care of those real quick here on this final table.
Well, Brandon does make the call.
And now an interesting card here on the turn, the ace of diamonds.
Well, that's actually a really good card for Brandon's hand, but it also feels like a safe card for Shep's hand. You know, every time another ace hits the board, it's less chance your opponent has one in his hand.
The bet's 150,000, and Robbie, what's Brandon to do in this situation?
Well, it feels like Shep is value betting this. I think I still have to pay it off, though. There's a million chips in the pot already.
All right, Brandon makes the call, 150,000 and the cost. Still heads up.
All right, so Brandon is going to make the call. A pot of 1.2 million chips. Now we go to the river. The useless 3 of hearts, nothing changed. And now Shep's going to slow down. He checks over to Brandon.
I think if I'm Brandon here, I'm thinking, you know I might can squeeze a little value out of this, but I might not have the best hand. I think I would have showed my hand down just like Brandon did.
It goes check, check. The winner of the hand is Brandon Miller, the 26-year-old from Palm Bay, Florida.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Heartland Poker Tour after this.
Welcome back to the HPT. I'm James Larson, joined by Robert Williamson III. 7 players remain here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. Up top, we got Rich. At the bottom, Danny Gonzalez. What's he got to do to get back in this thing?
Danny has been cold as ice. He hasn't been able to play a hand because he hasn't caught any hands. But if he stays patient and vigilant, when he does get a hand, he might get a good payday.
This is Danny G's 3rd final table. We know he's a fighter. He won't give up, and he knows how to play the short stack. The next person eliminated will go home with $29,570. Your winner tonight, $227,864. 721 entries and a prize pool of over $1 million for the 9th time right here in Blackhawk, Colorado. I remember coming here years ago. The big bet out here used to be $5. $5 was the big bet. We got that raised up to $100. Makes it a little easier to grind out here in the mountains now, but I still remember going to a table and making a $5 bet. That was the max.
I remember back in those days, too.
Action now is folded around to Rex. He looks down at ace-jack.
230.
And he's going to raise it up to $230,000. Rex probably has the most tournament experience of anybody here at this final table.
He is one fine player. Unfortunately, I've had to play against him before.
And he's a nice guy, too. We had dinner with him over there in East Chicago a few weeks ago, and it was great to see him and his girlfriend. Action now over to Rich Dixon from Cheyenne, Wyoming. $80,000 in lifetime earnings. And he's going to go ahead and make the call here. He's going to defend his big blind with Jack-7. He asked if he's allowed to check dark, Robbie. Do you know the rule on that?
Well, he's out of position. He can't check until Rex checks first.
Flop comes out 6-4 deuce. Action will be on Rex.
Flop doesn't figure to fit either one of the hands, but it was a little closer to Rich than it was Rex's.
A whole lot of nothing there with that 6-4 deuce flop. And Rex is going to go ahead and make a bet of $180,000. Rex is 32 years old, got 15th place at our event in Reno.
Why do I believe you?
His plans for the cash, he's going to save the money. You don't hear that a lot from poker players. He's going to put it in the savings account. What's a savings account?
I'm not for sure. I've heard of them before, but...
Well, Rich is going to make this call. It's kind of a curious play by Rich. Turn card now is the 4 of spades.
I think Rich is purely floating here, hoping to take it away from Rex on the turn or the river.
Action on Rex. We'll see if he continues to fire. And now he's going to check. Rich kind of gives a confusing look, like, what do you mean check?
Don't know what to do now? Yeah, that was weird.
Confused?
Yes. I usually make bad decisions when I'm confused, too.
Well, Rich, you don't want to make a bad decision here at this final table.
Thinking.
Rich told us he's got a great reading ability from playing cash for so many years. So it goes check, check. We go to the river card now, and this time it's the deuce of diamonds. So Rex has got to like that card.
He sure does. 2 pair with an ace kicker.
Actions to Rich in the fourth.
And Rex is going to check over to Rich.
Yeah, I think he's checking with the intentions of check calling.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a pretty big bet here by Rich for Rex to go away. And Rich said it to his opponent. He's a little confused. 440,000.
440.
Well, that might be a big enough bet.
Yeah.
Action is back to Rex in the 3 seat. 440 is our total bet.
Is it good to be talking as much as Rich is doing right now, Robert?
I think if Rich would have bet the turn, he'd be taking his pot down right now, but it just looks suspicious, this bet here on the river.
And of all players to get tangled up with, I just talked about all the experience that Rex has. Not the guy you really want to tangle with in this situation. But the bet was 440,000.
What do you got? He can ask, I just can't answer.
Also, I'm allowed to ask.
Oh, and Rich looks real comfortable.
Bulls.
It's a tough call for Rex.
It really is. I just think that he's going to sniff this out finally and make this call.
I
just got a
really do too.
feeling.
I think you're right, Robert.
Call.
He's going to make the call, and a great call at that.
Rich shows.
He says, nice hand. Rich shows his hand.
Rex shows 2 pair.
Rex
with an
kind of
ace.
let out a little bit of a relief sigh there.
Yeah, that was definitely one of those.
Yeah, and it ended up being a pretty decent sized pot, almost 1.8 million chips. And again, you talk about experience. Rex has it. This guy's grinded a lot of big tournaments, and he's been down this road before.
Making it look interesting.
But you know, Rich, for being the MMA guy, the boxer, he seems like a real sweetheart at the table.
Well, he summarized his feelings. He said when he's confused, he makes bad decisions, and I think by checking that turn and then deciding to bet the river, those were 2 bad decisions by Rich. Well, this time Shep looks down to see the HPT special.
The old King Queen. He's going to raise up to 260,000. You have to play that hand on the HPT. It's unmuckable. You have to raise with it. You have to play it every time.
Some people play the King Queen like it's aces.
They
though.
play it like aces. We see that a lot here on the HPT. Over to Rich now. Looks down at a great blackjack hand, the 9 deuce.
In the small blind.
Now to Danny Gonzalez. Look at this guy. Oh, man.
No wonder,
Pocket
no wonder he looks so serious.
I love watching him at the poker table. And he says all in.
Bulls actions back to back with 50,000.
Fold it around to Shep now, and Shep is going to make the call.
An insta call with King Queen off. I think I'm going to take it a little bit more time to think that through, James.
It's the HPT special. You play it like aces. What are you talking about?
Well, this time he ran it right into aces.
Danny loves this. We go to the flop now. Shep trying to catch up. 1 Broadway card. The Jack of Diamonds comes out. Jack 7-5, 2 spades.
6 of hearts is good.
Shep needs some runner help here on the turn.
Shep needs a whole lot of help. We go to the turn card. It's another spade. This time the 10 of
We got
spades.
outs, baby. We got outs. It's all right.
It's an open-ended straight draw. But
Not
Danny still
flush.
has the blocker with the ace of
He
spades.
says he's got outs, baby, because he's got the ace of
Deuce
spades.
of hearts.
Now Shep needs an
Deuce of
ace
hearts.
or a 9
You
that's
know
not a
what
spade.
Yeah, but deuce of hearts.
Never easy for Danny. Jack of clubs on the river and a big double up for Danny G.
He remained patient, woke up with aces, and got a payday.
When we come back from this commercial break, 7 players remain. They're all chasing the title, and up top, almost $228,000 in cash. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. I'm James Larson, joined by Robert Williamson III. And Robbie, let's take a look at those chip counts.
Well, Rich is still up top, but he's managed to leak off some chips to Rex, and now Rich and Rex are neck and neck atop this chip leaderboard.
Blackhawk, Colorado, a gambling destination since 1991. There's 18 casinos up here in the mountain and a whole lot of action. And Robert, it's just a beautiful backdrop here in Blackhawk, Colorado with the mountains and the cool, crisp air. Action over to Rex now on the button.
It looks very serious.
Rex got here via Alan Kessler, his buddy. Alan's sitting in the front row cheering him on. Now Rex is going to raise it up to 270,000. A button raise, I guess, here with 5 tray of hearts. Over to the small blind now. That's Rich.
And Rich has got an ace 4. Definitely a defendable small blind hand.
Rich back in 2007 placed 11th here on the HPT at Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. You know, we always see the same faces out here. Always. We have all our regulars that play, the locals And then, of course, the people that travel. You know, with 721 entries, we had people from all over the country and the world, for that matter.
270 is our total bet.
So now a call is made by Rich. He really thought about that one a long time, Robert.
Well, we're seeing the chip leaders really get tangled up a lot here tonight, James. That's sometimes that's a very combustible combination.
Danny's not going to defend his big blind, so it's the button and the small, and the flop comes out 2 trays and a 9, couple of clubs.
I'll tell you what, Rich flops the nut flush draw, but Rex flops 3 threes, and it's going to be really hard for Rich to put Rex on this hand.
Yeah, huge flop here for Rex. Look at that, 3 threes. Rich is going to check over to Rex.
Rex is going to bet.
And a bet of 140,000.
140.
Baffled?
140,000 is the bet.
Don't know what to do now.
Action's back to Rich on the
Boy,
4
Rich
seat.
really talks a lot to Rex.
Every hand.
I know.
And Rich is going nowhere, by the way. He has no plans to go anywhere.
I think he's just trying to decide whether to flat or to raise.
We'll find out.
Rich is going
He's going to go ahead and make the call. No raise. Big street coming up, Robbie. Will it be a club? Will it be another 3? Will it be a 9? Will it be a 5? It's a 9.
Wow.
The 9 of hearts, just like that. A full house for Rex.
That should slow Rex down a little bit now because Rich easily could have been on a 9.
Ace of spades on the river. Even though that hit Rich's hand, he can't like this too much, Robbie.
I'll tell you what, Rex has got to go to Value Town now. It feels like his hand's the best hand.
It's a check now over to Rex. See how much he decides to bet. That's a perfect size bet, 325,000.
325,000.
Now here we go. Rich is going to go through the question and answer portion of the test. So far, Rex is getting the best of Rich here at this nationally televised final table, Robbie.
Yeah, I think he's kind of manipulating him with the talking part as well.
I like the bet. It's a perfect value bet. Rich has to make the call. There's only 325,000, but that's 325,000 more chips that Rex is going to put in his pile. So we're seeing some good poker here tonight at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. Blinds are up to 60,000, 120,000 with a 15K ante. We started with 720 entries. Garrett's going to raise it to $250,000 with pocket 10. Seen a lot of pocket pairs at tonight's final table.
Tens in particular. I think it's the 3rd time we've seen pocket tens tonight.
Seen 4s, we've seen jacks a lot. Saw aces a couple of times. Saw kings.
Queens.
Saw queens. We saw queens run into kings. First hand of the night. Folded around to Rex. Boy, Rex is getting a lot of TV time tonight. Looks on at Queen 10. He's got the risky business sunglasses on.
That's one of my all-time favorite movies, James.
Don't they have to be in a separate stack?
It looks like Rex is asking how many chips his opponent has behind him before he decides what he's going to do in this hand.
Call.
And Rex is going to make the call. $250,000. Action now over to Rich on the button. And he's got pocket deuces, Robbie.
I usually say deuces seldom loses, but here, I don't think I would play that hand.
And Rich is reaching for chips. He is on the button. He does have a pair. And he is going to make the call. Danny Gonzalez quickly gets out of the way. Now over to Vic. Haven't really heard from Vic much lately. He's going to fold.
Yeah, sometimes when you're card dead, it's really tough to keep folding, but that's what you got to do.
We go to the flop. It's 6 tray.
Oh, it looks like a good flop for Garrett's hand.
He's going to reach for chips. Tens and trays for Garrett. He's going to make a bet of 500,000.
Well, that's a little less than half the pot. It's a strong bet. That should keep his opponents to the minimum.
I'm a little confused by Garrett's player profile. He put his occupation skier and his age 69. I don't think he's 69, Robbie.
I don't think so either.
All right, so a fold now by Rex. Action over to Rich now. Just with those pocket deuces, they're getting smaller and smaller each street, I have a feeling.
Well, this is the danger, once again, of playing small pairs, James. You don't know where you're at.
But Rich really takes his time. I don't have a problem with it, but this guy likes to take his time on every decision. He's going to fold his hand. The winner of the hand is Garrett. So back to this guy's player profile. His name is actually Don Patrick. We call him Garrett. He's kind of a man of mystery, and I don't believe he's 69 years old.
Or do you think he's a professional skier?
He could be. He looks like a professional skier, 100%. Action's on Vic. Vic has not said a word at this final table. He's got his sunglasses on and his Bass Pro Shop hat.
9 boards.
And Vic is going to go ahead and make a raise here. He's got Big Slick, Ace King, going to raise up to $275,000. And now the man of mystery comes in. Garrett with my favorite hand, pocket nines.
Wow.
Action on Shep in the 1 seat. Shep's going to get out of the way. And now Brandon with pocket fours again. How's it possible?
Man, those don't they have to muck those between hands?
Yeah, is he holding on to these fours? Is that what it is, Robbie? Pocket fours again, another baby pair. Baby pairs haven't been real successful here at the final table tonight. And Brandon's going to make the call. Action over to Rex now. Looks down at Trey Deuce.
Oh, I call that little slick.
And now we move over to Rich. And while he decides, I'm going to go ahead and get a cup of coffee, maybe a Danish. He likes to take his time. Nothing wrong with that, though, Robbie. We have more time than money here on the HPT. At least I do. The prize pool, that's another story. $227,864 will be your first place champion. Nice payday here in the mountains of Black Hawk, Colorado. Rich is going to make the call. So 4 players going to the flop. Garrett with the best of it right now with his pocket nines.
Rich decided to defend his big blind.
Players are loosening up, talking a little bit. The flop, look at that. Jack 10-9.
Well, 3 nines for Garrett, but I'll tell you what, it's still kind of one of those dangerous flops. It's 3 cards to a straight right out there in a row.
A lot of coordination out there. Rich is going to check over to Vic. And Vic with the continuation bet here.
I think if I were Vic, I would not have continuation bet this flop. That's just a real dangerous flop. It seems like it has to fit your opponent's hands.
Vic's going to bet $675,000 over to Garrett, who flopped a set.
Garrett's got to play this fast and aggressive.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Robbie. It's got to be fast, and it's got to be fast right now.
There's too many dangerous turn cards.
And you've got 3 other players in the pot. So Garrett's all in. Brandon's going to fold. Action over to Rich. Rich is going to fold, so we go back to Vic. Vic's going to fold. Garrett's going to win the hand, and he's on a little bit of a heater, my friend.
The man of mystery has mysteriously put together quite a little rush.
It's been a great week out here in Black Hawk, Colorado. I want to thank the entire staff at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. And Robbie, I want to thank all of our players, too. Over 700 entries, making this our 9th $1 million prize pool in a row right here at the Golden Gates Casino. When we get back from this quick commercial break, we'll have more exciting final table action. You're watching the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT. We broadcast from the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor right here, Black Hawk, Colorado. I'm James Larson, joined by the pride of Texas, Mr. Robert Williamson III.
And looky here, James. Rex is our new chip leader now. Garrett real close behind, and Rich, even though he's in third, has continued his slide.
Action continues. Blind 60,000, 120,000 with a 15K ante. Action on the 1 seat of Shep. Looks down at King 5. A reggie King 5. He folds over to Brandon. No pocket fours this time. Looks down at 5 Trey. He folds. Our chip leader now. Rex with a King 7. Now over to Rich. Looks down at Jack 4. We're just going to chill for a little bit. Rich on the decision. Reaching for chips, though. So he's going to go ahead and raise it now to $270,000. Vic's going to fold.
I have to give Rich credit. He's really mixed it up tonight, but unfortunately, I don't think it's worked out for him too good.
Now to the 9 seat in the big blind. It's Garrett. He's from Snowmass, Colorado. So he tells us.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, right. The man of mystery. I wonder what's underneath that hat. This whole thing could be a disguise, Robert. He's going to make the call. So we go heads up to the flop, Rich and Garrett. And the flop is King 9 Trey. 9s have been good to Garrett here as of late. He's going to check over to Rich.
Garrett flops middle pair. Rich flops no help at all.
Rich was going to take a nap there. He had his head on his arm. He's going to bet $335,000. Representing a king here, I guess. Garrett, it'll be a tough call. He's got middle pair. He's going to make the call.
Who's the sheriff?
And Garrett's going to make the call.
Rich asks Garrett, who's the sheriff? Is there a new sheriff in town?
Turn card now, the Jack of Diamonds.
Ooh, and that one actually is a very good card for Rich. Gives him Second pair over Garrett's pair of nines.
500,000.
Garrett's going to check and now bet of a $500,000 chips.
500,000
Should be enough to get Garrett out of the way.
By Rich, 500,000.
And it does.
folds.
Rich is going to win the final hand of the night. And Robbie, we saw a lot of great poker right here on this show.
You sure did. And Rich made a nice little recovery there at the end. After having kind of a sliding day, the story to tell, though, is Rex. Rex has been running good and playing good.
Be sure to tune in next week as we wrap up our episode here from the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. Our champion will go home with the bracelet and, most importantly, almost $228,000 in cash. Now, if you're watching this and you want in on some of this cash and the poker glory, why not give it a shot? Log on to our website at www.hptpoker.com, and who knows, maybe you'll be playing for the life-changing cash. For my partner, Robert Williamson III, I'm James Larson, and we'll see you next time on the HPT.
Oh, I can wait you out, but I'll take you down. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack on Friday, oh mama, cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.